Hello, welcome to today's episode of Juice in the Numbers, your movies and entertainment podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Tracy.
And I'm Corwin Heller.
And it's Movies Day. It's Thursday. Thursday is Movies Day. Actually, by the time you listen to this, it's Friday. We had a delay of one single day of the podcast due to some travel, some unexpected last-minute travel that Corwin had to partake in due to work. So we delayed the sweet satisfaction of your podcast listening by an entire 24 hours. And for that, we're sorry.
In honor of how much we shit on every possible demographic that we could piss off, fuck anyone from Long Island.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down on that. Fuck like 90. Fuck the entire non-Jewish population of Long Island. That's where I stand on the matter. Seinfeld, your bunch over there is all good, but everyone else can go.
I had a joke, but you calling out Jerry Seinfeld is just anything after that is just moop.
Moop. The moops.
I'm sorry. Correct answer is moops.
It's a misprint. Anyway, we could do this all day long. So yeah. Anyway, today's the Movies Day. We're talking about 1987's Good Morning Vietnam and 1970's Kelly's Heroes. Corwin, where would you like to start?
I was really hoping you would say Good Morning Vietnam the way you're supposed to say Good Morning
Oh,
Vietnam.
we'll get there.
Okay. Let's start with that because I watched that most recently.
All right. I'm very excited. So we're going to start with 1987 and Good Morning Vietnam. Directed by Barry Levinson, written by Mitch Markowitz, starring Robin Williams, Forrest Whitaker, Tom T. Tran, Bruno Kirby's in this. Other people who I recognize the faces of and don't know their names are also in this movie. You know them. You've seen them. They're there. It had an estimated budget of $13 million, a cumulative worldwide gross of $124 million. Certainly a success. Corwin, what do you think the tagline is for this?
This is Robin Williams' best movie. Come watch it.
It is the wrong man, period, in the wrong place, period, at the right time, period. Which still isn't cool, but it's definitely the best of the ones we've read.
Yeah, it's definitely the best, but the bar is real low.
Oh, super, super low. It has a single Oscar nomination. It was for Robin Williams for Best Actor in a Leading Role. He lost that year to Michael Douglas for Wall Street. It is about Robin Williams as a radio DJ during the Vietnam conflict in 1965. Corwin, what did you think of this movie?
I genuinely do think that this is Robin Williams' best movie. I had a rough day at work. I'll be honest with y'all. I was not in the best of moods starting up this movie. I got home and I turned it on. And I was like, all right, this is going to be a shitty review because I'm just going to be in one of those moods. It's going to ruin the movie for me. And the second Robin Williams opens up his mouth, it's just like, oh, this is no fret, man. This is the best. Robin Williams just melts away the tension, melts away the anger. Just his energy and just his positivity is infectious. And I just miss him so much.
You know the best part about listening to Robin Williams do all the radio shows?
What?
All of it was improvised.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Josh,
I was telling Cal, like, that's one of the best parts about watching Robin Williams movies because, like, most of his fucking lines in everything is improvised and it's so good. It's always so fucking good. Like, one of my favorite Robin Williams facts is the fact that they had Robin Williams record all of his lines for Aladdin before they did the animation for the genie because they knew that he was going to ad-lib it anyway and they'd have to reanimate to go along with what he was saying. So they just let him do it first, which is not how animation is done. And the fact that like you work around that level of genius is just I love it so much. I live for Robin Williams.
I would fucking kill for a chance to see a behind the scenes documentary on this movie where they just have an hour, hour and a half of just uncut Robin Williams footage of him just doing all of these fucking crazy, unique, just unbelievably lively and funny characters just nonstop. It's amazing. It's perfection.
I know. I gotta imagine there's a ton of it out there because like they must have recorded so much more footage than got put in the film just for the sake of time,
Mhm.
But yeah, oh man, yeah.
I honestly would think that I feel like that's the sixth time I've said I honestly think, but I honestly think that a documentary about the making of this movie would be possibly better than this movie itself, which is saying a lot. It's a fantastic film.
So you're going for an apocalypse now kind of situation?
Yes, but hopefully a little less going crazy.
True, true. Um, Real quick, something I did not realize is that this film's original draft of its script was written by a man whose name is also Adrian Cronauer. Um, he said that the film is 45% accurate to his life story, which is crazy. I did not know that. And that's a wild fact.
Yeah. I just love the idea of like some dude walking into a network meeting, network conference room, going to pitch this idea for a movie, pitching a script. And it's like, yo, Adrian, sit down. How is everything? Okay. What's this about? It's about this dude that's the funniest man alive. Cool. Love it. What's his name? Adrian. Interesting. All right. Original. Love it.
Last name Cronauer. Oh well, that's got a lot of vowels, doesn't it? Yes. So this film I always think about in two parts. I don't think it. I don't know if you get the same vibe of like a real big like A side and B side to the film, but I always think about it in terms of the front half, which is very much so about like countercultural Robin Williams taking on the man in the military, and then the second half is your best friend was a fucking terrorist the whole time and almost killed you like by accident, and then grappling with that interaction with the Viet Cong. Do you get any kind of sense of that?
Oh, absolutely. It was one of those things where it's like I made note in the first half of the movie how like, man, like this is so funny. Like I love this. I love seeing like peak Robin Williams, but this like love story is just not really doing it for me. It's kind of like really breaking up this great comedic flow and all that. But like if we're gonna get a little bit deeper with it, I'd rather see like a more psychological side of this. Like, what's this doing for like the people who listen? Like how hard is it to like be this energetic and positive when all this bad shit's going on around you? Like, I'd love to see like a psychological side of this movie that like this, wishy-washy love story just isn't doing it for me. And then the bar scene happened where, he gets pulled out and right as they're walking away, the bar explodes and just sends the movie careening down a completely different direction than the first half. And it was like, whoa, like this is exactly what I was thinking about. Like this went from like a funny movie that's just like, lost into its own time and tries to do something that nowadays just it's a little corny into like, wow, this is deep emotional. This is the other side of Robin Williams we love to see. And I really love the change of direction.
Um, I have a few points I want to make about it. The first point I'll say is I I found it so every time I watch the movie, which again it's been a while. Um, I see different things about because when I was a kid, because I first in case we haven't gathered by how frequently I mention the kinds of movies I watched as a childhood, my parents didn't give a fuck about ratings. So I first watched this movie when I was pretty fucking young. Um, you only pick out the funny bits. And then when I got older, it was you see the romance, and now I'll get into what I think of it now. But the fact that it doesn't fall down the rabbit hole of the romance part of it, the thing that we gave so much shit to Bridge on the River Kwai for, is so nice because it looks like it for like a minute there. It looks like it's going to be about Robin Williams being funny on the radio and then just chasing around this Vietnamese woman, which as you're gonna love Robin Williams, but like you don't need to see that. Like it's like watching Patch Adams. It's like, yeah, like I love watching Robin Williams, but curing cancer with comedy is not the basis for a real movie.
It's just
And
like it's filler, it's fluff.
yeah, it would be like just any old rom-com. And luckily, it I feel like you usually these types of movies usually go in reverse, and it's what makes them terrible. It's usually like, Robin Williams would meet this cool Vietnamese dude who ends up having a really hot sister that he goes after for the rest of the film and kind of abandons his friendship with the cool Vietnamese dude. And instead, Robin Williams is chasing this Vietnamese woman and then ends up meeting her super cool brother and spending the rest of the movie hanging out with him, which I love that.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that, but I do really appreciate that.
Right? It's like the total reverse of how this shit usually goes in movies. And I'm gonna take that moment, or that thought and pivot to this. I think this film does a phenomenal job paying respect and being, I'm going to say the word respectful again, or respect again, but being very respectful to the Vietnamese people, because it really shows a lot of the nuance of what it meant to be Viet Cong, and the fact that Robin Williams could have this really wonderful relationship with this young man who ended up being a member of the opposition military as a result of America's involvement in his nation. And it shows that like these are people who ended up fighting on behalf of Vietnam, fighting on behalf of I guess we'll say northern Vietnam at this time. Like these are people who felt as though they had been injusticed by America and were responding back. But at the end of the day, they were normal people who like ate really spicy food and like laughed at Americans being dumb and teaching them swear words. The fact that there was no really negative Vietnamese characters outside of a few like no line having Viet Cong near the end. Everyone was super kind and welcoming and respectful and inviting. The English class people were hilarious. Twans, I always get the name wrong. I'm bad with names. His whole family was super kind when they went on that enormous group date. Robin Williams is very respectful to the culture, trying the food and going along with the customs. Like it paints the Vietnamese in a very, very nice light, which is something that you would not expect from a movie made in 1987.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does an excellent job of, especially that ending scene with Tuan, where he is really just letting out all that emotion with that final climactic confrontation between him and Robin Williams, and it's really amazing how they get you to empathize with someone who, we grew up seeing in media as this, ruthless, savage enemy, because that's the stereotype of, classic American military army movies where we are the great do-gooders of the world. We do no wrong. We bring peace and prosperity to every place we touch, and it's not. We're going in and we're starting a war with the people of this country with you know different morals than our own and different beliefs and cultures, and at the end of the day, like he says, we're killing their mother, brother, neighbors, the people in their community, just for being people in their community that they view as enemies because we're soldiers and fighting their countrymen. And he says it like, "You Americans don't view me as human. We're just little Vietnamese." And it's like, wow, like this is, one of the few movies that really draw out a clear emotion of pure empathy with the people that we are essentially programmed to view as bad people, even though they are just the same people you and I are. They just happen to speak a different language in a different country.
And what I love about this movie also is that, like, typically I feel like, again, in a different movie that could have been made in like the exact same year, 1987, not a very progressive era. Like, after Twan's very emotional speech, you'd get some super weird rah rah America's great speech out of the Robin Williams type character saying
Mhm,
like, "No, we're here to save you. We did this for you." And instead, it's nope, nope. He's gonna eat that. That's gonna sit there for a minute. Like,
mhm.
there's not going to be a rebuttal because the thesis of this movie doesn't really warrant a rebuttal. And I'm just so enamored with that as a concept, or at least with that as it has been executed in the film. Because again, I would love it if it was made today, and just the fact that this movie is from 33 years ago and doing something as progressive as that's really really wonderful to see. Um, Another thing I wanted to ask you about that I couldn't help notice more so on this most recent watch through is just how wild the juxtaposition is between, like, a lot of Robin Williams's um radio shows, being all silly and goofy, and then
Mhm.
intersplicing that with shots of shit blowing up or tanks rolling in places or any of the kind of horrors of war stuff. Not quite as horror of warish as you could have gotten, but kind of like the more violent of the scenes cut in between or during the comedic aspects. I think to kind of show, one, that this, even though this is a lighthearted movie, has heavy subject matter because it's a war movie still, and two, to kind of show what the point of the Robin Williams character is in the film, in that, like, this shit's happening and the only thing you have to distract from it is this guy being funny on the radio.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. Did you think anything of that?
Yeah, I mean, your second point is exactly how I saw it. This was only my second time seeing the film, first time in a couple of years. And this, I've said this before, like, I didn't grow up with Robin Williams. It's someone I kind of dove into as a young adult. So, like, I don't have the nostalgic feel of these movies. I just watch them now as an adult with adult perceptions about things and, take them at the face value that I see them now. And that's immediately what hit me was, wow, like, fighting in Vietnam was not some wild heroic shit. Like, yeah, those things happened, and you know, those are the things that we hear about because it's exciting and heroic, and again, part of that American imagery that we've, you know, kind of plastered everywhere. And for the vast majority of people, it was a hot, muggy country, a lot of mud, explosions, fear, all this stuff going on, and turning on that radio and escaping to some, A plus comedy was probably the biggest factor in keeping your mind sane, keeping you straight when you're out there. Like, it must have been awful, and just having this pure hour of escapism every day must have been amazing.
Could you imagine listening to this show live?
No, especially after listening to, like, the guys they have, filling out the rest of the roster. Like, what was it? Sergeant Hawk? Imagine listening to an hour of that because you have nothing else to listen to, and then Robin Williams comes on and does that? Oh
Oh,
my god.
one of my favorite, like, I don't know if it's a gag or if it was just meant again to show a different type of juxtaposition, but Robin Williams ending his show to turn over to Dan, the man Levitan, and then Dan comes in and is like, "And thank you, Adrian Cronau," and it's like so soft, gets me every time because I know who I am as a person, and if I was listening to that show live, I would have shut my radio off so fucking
Oh,
fast.
absolutely.
Like, the dial would come off. Like, oh my god.
Like,
Um,
they must be on such a, by the minute routine every day, because you turn it on the second Robin Williams gets on, because that's the only enjoyment you're gonna get that day. And then the second he gets off, boom, there goes the radio too. You're on for exactly 60 minutes and 0 seconds.
Yeah, and no more, no less. So this movie takes place in a lot of places. Like, we have the Robin Williams scenes of him in the English class, Robin Williams scenes with him and Tuan, Robin Williams scenes of his radio broadcasts, Robin Williams scenes interacting with the other military members. Did you have a particular I don't know what to call those in particular setting, I guess, that you ended up liking the best out of this?
Um, I know there was a lot of short, small jokes with other service members that were oh, really made me laugh. Like, they were great jokes that, you know, a lot of times when we do comedies, we'll just write down our favorite jokes and talk about them. And I don't know what it was, but I just didn't write a lot of them down. But the one that still sticks out to me now was when he was, stuck in that traffic jam in that Jeep, unsure of whether he wanted to go back on the radio, kind of lost the focus, lost why he did it, and then just has a chance to sit there and talk with regular GIs, just dozens of them, talking about how funny they think he is, how much they appreciate him, and how much he does for him. And it was like, holy shit! I don't know how deep they or how emotional they wanted to make the scene, how impactful they wanted it to be, but that's the lasting scene in my head from watching this.
And again, it's a nice, short, sharp scene that nails in another one of the fundamental characteristics of who Adrian Cronauer is that he does what he does for the people, and the brass above him, most notably Sergeant Major Dickerson, since General Taylor seems to be all aboard the Cronauer train, want him to curb what he's doing in order to better conform to the military and their standards. So again, it's just a nice scene showing where he puts his allegiance and where his heart is,
Mhm.
which is a much more serious one than my favorite joke that I always think about from this movie, or my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite scene, but it's the thing that always fucking makes me laugh. When he's getting chewed out by Sergeant Major Dickerson, and he
Mhm.
and Dickerson points to the symbol on his sleeve, and he goes, "You know what 3 up and 3 down means, soldier?" And Robin Williams goes, "End of an inning."
Yeah, I knew you were gonna get that one.
Oh, it gets me every single time. uh, that and when Jimmy Wah says that he with the shiny green suit, I got it in Hong Kong, home of the shiny green suit. Love, yo. Also, Jimmy Wah, such an amazing character,
So funny.
such a great character. And what it's actually, I think, interesting about the Jimmy Wah character that, again, I'm only really kind of thinking about on this viewing, this most recent viewing, is that Southeast Asia is known for being very open with their sexuality. More
Mhm.
so in Thailand than Vietnam, but there is a public. I don't know what the right word is, huh?
Acceptance?
Yeah, it's tough because their governments are usually pretty don't be gay, but the public has a far more progressive view of it. And it was really interesting to see Jimmy Wah is definitely gay in the movie. He keeps asking about getting naked pictures of male celebrities, and there isn't a single homophobic slur that I can think of being tossed around. There's definitely anti-Asian slurs that take place in Jimmy Wah's restaurant, which
Mm.
had a very justice porn ending to it. But Jimmy Wah's pretty openly gay in the movie, and they're just it's just who he is. And that's one, again, so progressive for 1987.
Yeah, he's one of those characters that just so vividly unique, like visually, that
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't forget them. Like he has such a air and style about him. Like you know exactly who we're talking about when we talk about Jimmy Watt.
With the shiny green suit.
Oh yeah, that like almost jokerish smile.
I know it feels like so. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm willing to bet that almost every single Asian person in this film is not an actor. Only because I know that that's a common thing to do, especially in this time period. Just because it might, I don't know why. Maybe it was easier, it was cheaper. They didn't feel as though they could scrounge together enough um, native English speaking actors or SAG Asian actors, whatever the reason is.
Mhm.
So there's a really high chance that the guy playing Jimmy Wah is just like that. And that to me is the best version of the world because I love him.
Yeah, I just am loving the idea of like him owning a bar by that name and just being a place where like the director or like a producer just was sitting having a drink while they were scouting out places and they're like, we need you to just do this in front of a camera. Like just everything you got going on, don't change a thing.
He didn't even know they were
And
making a movie.
didn't flinch. Yeah, like he is just like, sure, dude, let's go right now. You want me to keep this suit on? I could take it right off if you want. Just 100% gung ho.
Oh God, it's amazing. Um, and actually, just to I guess stay on that same point, one of my notes here is that um, the Tuan. I don't think the man playing Tuan is an especially good actor because again, if I had to bet, would be willing to bet that he's not an actor. Um, but I do still think that he's very effective. I think he brings a lot of good charisma to a film, and I think oftentimes that's all you really need. He brings obviously great passion in the end. In
Yeah.
the speech that you had talked about previously, that's definitely like his Oscars moment, even though he didn't get a nomination, because it's full of emotion. And I'm willing to bet that since this is '87 and the Vietnam conflict only ended like 15 years prior, while he was probably young but cognizant enough to maybe have a recollection. Uh, for that to be have been a raw actual feeling of how he personally himself felt about the conflict. But I found him to be effective. I thought he was totally cool in this.
Yeah, well,
I
like
don't.
he didn't really wow me leading up to that final scene. That scene itself was all I needed to see to think that overall this was a well acted performance by him just because of that. That was
So I
very, very well done.
yeah. Oh no, agreed. He is fully in it. He has 4 acting credits. Good Morning
Okay.
Vietnam, and then he appeared in one episode of a show called Early Edition in 2000. And then he appeared in one episode of Chicago PD in 2015 and is about to be in a is in a short film that came out this year, 2020, called Rednecks. So I'm going to stand by my point and say that he is most likely not an actor. Um, but hey, good for him. He's got 3 credits in the 21st century. So I'm all about it, son. Go get it.
Um, the one actually, okay, so there's 2 scenes I do wanna mention. One of them, just as a film scene, I thought was perfect, was when, he goes on the air to talk about the bombing incident, and they come in and shut off the power to the radio room. They cut all the sound to the film whatsoever, and you're just sitting there in silence, watching Robin Williams as they just pan over slowly to I don't want to say it's a ticker tape machine, but like it's a just a constant feed of like the news broadcast coming in and just hearing that tick 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 of essentially a typewriter going, hyper speed was like, wow, like that's something you would see today as like the key scene in a David Fincher movie or, one of these, you know, well-known movies for being incredibly well shot, and I just think that's something I've never even seen be talked about, you know, as a Robin Williams movie that's kinda just underappreciated, so
Oh,
wanted
great
to
moment for sure.
and then the final one is the baseball scene right at the end. God, I wanted to see Randy Johnson out there, 6 foot, a billion, just throwing 99 past those suckers playing stickball.
With those fucking melons or whatever they were.
Just
Beautiful.
throwing a melon 99 past, like, a 4'6", like, 95-year-old Vietnamese woman,
Who
and
just
then
literally ran home.
and then they either, swing and miss or just blows past him, they don't even have time to swing, and him just strutting his stuff, like, 10 feet away.
I love that it gives you that feel good moment there near the end, right before Robin Williams leaves.
Yeah.
I want to talk quick about two guys we didn't get to yet, and then I'm not sure I have too much else. Forrest Whitaker is in this, like future Oscar winner. Forrest Whitaker is in this as a very young man. What do you think about the Forrest Whitaker character?
He's actually, like he has some really funny moments. Like, yeah, he plays, like, a really, bumbly whatever, like, not so serious far as Whitaker with the crazy eye bouncing all around, but he has some really funny moments.
Yeah, every single time he starts the car.
Like, I just love how, like, Robin Williams knows it's gonna happen every single time and does absolutely nothing to remind him.
Wow, 86, 87 is a big year for Forrest Whitaker. 86 he did The Color of Money and Platoon, and then in 87 he had Good Morning Vietnam.
Damn, I forgot he
That's
was in Platoon.
yeah, that's a huge combo there. And he only started acting in like 82, so he came up pretty quick. I love Forrest Whitaker. So yeah, I was a big fan of he. It's so funny because like I was telling Cal like he usually plays like really intense dudes and like the Oscar that he has is from Last King of Scotland where he plays like
Mhm.
a crazy intimidating dude. Um, and so to see him like
10-year-old me was incredibly surprised that that movie was not, in fact, about Scotland.
like
Just saying.
18-year-old me was surprised that movie wasn't about Scotland when I first watched it.
I put that
Uh,
movie on and was shocked by the topic.
where's Braveheart? Um, anyway, it was really nice to see him be like young and goofy. Loved that. What do you think of Jack Kirby's character? Who is I think Bruno Kirby. Bruno Kirby's character as Lieutenant Stephen Hawke, who I think is such a amazing case of comic relief in what is already a comedy.
It's such a great caricature of just, like, the most punchable person in the face, like, ever. Just, like, you could totally picture what it would be like working for some guy like that and just being completely unable to take them seriously.
Funny is good. Funny is good. And
In
if
my
you
heart,
do,
I know I'm funny. I don't care.
uh, oh god, I he was perfect in this. I loved it so much. Um, yeah, he seems like the worst. He got on the radio in 1965 and played polka to the soldiers. If I was listening, I would be absolutely furious. Like the quotes that they read, the very blue quotes that they read from soldiers who'd been calling and writing in to voice their displeasure is exactly how I would have sounded.
Oh, absolutely. I had no idea that that Bruno character plays young Clemenza in The Godfather Part 2.
Wow, I have to rewatch The Godfather Part 2 because I don't even remember that.
Yeah, like, I can't not see him now that I look at the character, but it's like, yeah, that's perfectly that, except instead of playing the wildly, forcibly unfunny, annoying kid, it's the fat trying to be a scary punk, but he's just, some young kid. Clemenza.
Damn. Okay. I don't know. Do you have any final notes on this?
I just miss Robin Williams so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost cried. I love him so. Oh, he was just perfect as a dude, as an actor, as a comedian. Loved him.
I have to imagine he would have been the best friend you could ever ask for.
I'd have to imagine the same, and from all accounts, it sounds like he was that to a lot of people.
Mm.
But anything else on the film?
Nope, that's it.
All right, give me a rating and a final word on review.
Um, man, it's just as much as I love the second half of the movie, the first half just that love scene just kind of I know the movie's better because it kind of distracts you with that and makes you think it's heading that one direction, but having seen it so recently, it still hasn't sunk in and it's kind of sitting there. But man, Robin Williams is just so perfect in this. I feel weird giving it a 4 and that being a low score, but whatever, it's getting a 4.
I think I'm going to match you on 4 here. I think I'm going to match you. I don't have a good reason for why it's not getting that 4.5.
I feel the exact same way.
I don't have a good reason for why. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what it could have done differently to elevate itself. Maybe comedy is just tougher to get up there for me. Even though, again, I think this plays the line between comedy and drama so fluently. But I don't.
Mhm.
I think this is, like you said, one of the best Robin Williams movies. I think this is a great Vietnam movie. I love it to pieces, and I think 4 is appropriate. I think 4 is very appropriate.
Are you ready to talk about Kelly's Heroes?
Yeah. Let's do it. So we have 1970 Kelly's Heroes, directed by Brian G. Hutton, written by Troy Kennedy Martin, starring Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, Don Rickles, Carol O'Connor, Donald Sutherland, Uncle Leo from Seinfeld. Um, it had an estimated budget of, Corwin, do you want to guess?
$36.
$4 million.
Whoa.
Yeah, 1970 money. I can't even fathom how much that must have been. Do you want to know what its cumulative worldwide gross is? You want to guess?
$41 million.
5.2. Which
Really?
means it earned its money back. But I'd be pressed to call this a success. Shall we guess its tagline? It can't be good.
Um, uh, grab the life by the balls.
It is never have so few taken so many for so much. That is a very bad tagline.
Yeah,
That,
that's not great.
that's
It's
colossal garbage.
I think it's top like 20% for what we've heard, previously, but it doesn't make it great. Yeah.
For reference, $4 million is about $26 million, $26.5 million today. Just because I am always curious about those things. Anyway, it has no major awards nominations. Corwin, what do you think of Kelly's Heroes?
Um, this has always been one of those movies where it's like I love the super dramatic, like Saving Private Ryan's, the Band of Brothers miniseries, like these historic World War II movies that are fairly true to form, fairly dramatic and heavy and overall exciting. And then I love throwing this on and just being like, fuck yeah, like this is fun. Like this movie knows exactly what it is. It doesn't take itself seriously in the slightest. And it's just like Oddball is one of the best characters ever. And it's just so perfectly encapsulates the movie of just like fucking positive vibes, man. Let's just have a good time. Let's have some fun, steal some gold. Like, what more can you ask?
I'm going to contend throughout this review the exact opposite, and that this movie has no idea what it's trying to be, and that Oddball is the worst character of the movie.
Oh, I hate you.
And I will start by raising this issue. How the fuck is Oddball playing what is essentially a hippie character in what, 1943? We're like 20 years removed from counterculture. It made no sense. I'm
Hey,
sitting
Josh.
there like, this movie was made in 1970, and they clearly were trying to get young people out to go see Donald Sutherland be a hippie, but it completely sacrificed. Like, not only had, like, he'd be, instead of tripping out to like late 60s, early 70s music like Hendrix and Zeppelin and all that, he's tripping out to what? The Dave Brubeck band? Like, what the hell is he even doing? Like, it didn't make any sense.
Josh, why you gotta come at me with those negative waves, man? Come on. Just don't worry about it.
It was bullshit. Don't get me wrong. I love Donald Sutherland and his whole persona in a different movie, but playing this character would be fun. But every time he was on screen, I just kept asking myself the question: what are you doing? What are you listening to? Like, I don't. Like, I know who that guy is in the movie that's made in 1970, that takes place in 1970. Like, he's like, yo, man, you gotta come listen to my King Crimson record, bro, like with my Blacklight poster. Maybe it's a little bit early for that. But like, it's 1940 fucking 3. Like, are you balling out to Sinatra? Like, I don't.
Listen.
You freaking out to Herbie Hancock? And these are people I love. These are people I love, but like, no white man's getting stoned and listening to Coltrane records in 43, man. Like, that's just not the scene yet.
It's clearly 1944 after the invasion of Normandy. You fucking plebe. Get your shit
44.
together.
I'm sorry. I knew you'd know the exact year. I didn't feel like looking it up.
Listen, man, this movie stars a hippie tank driver, Clint Eastwood being a cowboy, clearly not in the Wild West, bribing the German army, and Uncle fucking Leo building a bridge, and a straight out of a New York Times caricature of George Patton. So you're thinking too much.
But so that's my other thing though, is that like, this movie is so long. It's so very, very long. Huh?
It's not that long.
It's 2.5 hours long.
It didn't feel that long. Wow.
It's 2.5 hours long. This movie is fucking long. And it's not like it's a fun, casual romp. So many people die in this movie. Like, there is so much. There's so much death and destruction in this, like, light, breezy comedy. And it feels like, because Donald Sutherland is such a bizarro, calm character, and Clint Eastwood's such a hard-nosed, normal, like, cowboy character, and then you have all these other people who are crossing this whole spectrum of other weird characters, that the movie just never really fully. Again, this feels like how we talked about Bridge on the River Kwai, where it's like they just try to appeal to everybody. This feels like that. They just made a movie that was like, we need a funny guy, we need a hot guy, we need a serious guy, we need a Jewish guy, we need Don Rickles, like, and they just threw all that shit in the movie, sent him to Yugoslavia, gave him a tank, and were like, hey man, there's gold in a bank behind enemy lines. You're gonna go steal it with tanks and kill like 90 people along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah, that's hilarious.
Damn right. Josh, you're focusing way too much on the trees when you should be seeing the forest. Yeah, you could pick hole. Like, there are more holes in this than something like a net.
Swiss fucking cheese.
Yeah, no, like, this has way more holes than Swiss cheese. Like, different spectrum. You just got to accept it for what it is. The climactic, like, battle scene of this movie, everything's coming together. They're fighting 3 tiger tanks in this small French town, and fucking Donald Sutherland is stopping for a wine and cheese break, and the guy just casually walks over and is like, what are you guys doing? you're taking it way too seriously and just need to sit back and enjoy the show because it's fantastic.
I can't because they keep killing people. I can't. They so many people died. And let me ask you this, Corwin. I have this written down. Why are they called Kelly's heroes? They are clearly the bad guys.
Are we the baddies?
Just because there are also Nazis in the movies doesn't make what Kelly's heroes doing super fucked up.
Yeah, it's not great. Like,
they are clearly in the wrong.
I definitely won't argue that point. You know, the whole argument of like,
crimes.
well, we only get paid $50 a week. It's like, yeah, well, there's kind of bigger fish to fry than like what you're doing. Like, you got drafted. Like, you got to be here. Again, you're focusing on the trees instead of seeing the forest. Beautiful forest made out of some wacky trees.
Corwin, I will accept it if you say, look, this is a guilty pleasure movie where the mind gets turned off and I don't think about any of what's going on and just enjoy the explosions. But,
see, Josh, you can't just say you'll be happy and then just say my entire stance on the movie and just pretend like this is a compromise.
I will be happy
the entire argument I've had so far.
That. But Corwin, I got 30 minutes into this movie and was so furious I turned it off.
This is your Ikaru.
Yeah, it really is. This is I was thinking about it. Kel and I turned it on like Monday or Tuesday night, and when I found out that you and I wouldn't be recording until like until tonight, Thursday, I looked at Kel and I was like, I'm gonna do this like another time. I'll do this during my workday. I cannot do this right now. And then I kept looking up while working, so confused as to why everyone was doing all of the things they were doing. It was like at one point, the one patently guy is in like a red suit, but he also seemed to be home and asleep. And he was like eavesdropping on the radio about them stealing the gold. And I was like, what? What?
Don't think too much. He's a general who's wearing his pajamas that just happens to be his exact uniform in the color red.
So I'm saying it's like halfway to Naked Gun, but it's not far enough there where you can take it that lightly. Like, imagine Naked Gun, but with like actual death and consequences and stakes. Like, damn,
it's perfect.
This is a farce.
No, it's perfection. It's comedic gold, and you just do not appreciate it because you're not of the time. Final answer.
I did miss one thing, and I will ask for your enlightenment, just because I actually missed it, and I don't understand. It happened at the very beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. How did they get the first bar of gold in the first place?
It was in the satchel bag of the German officer that Kelly captures.
Right, but why was it there?
He was basically part of the like organization for this convoy, like transporting the gold, and he just had some on him. I don't know, Josh. They don't explain it. Don't think about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he knows where the gold is, and the only reason they know that is because they find a bar of gold on his person, but it's like the middle of the war. Why does he have the gold on?
They find the bar of gold, and it's covered in like this like paint or like this
I thought it was like dirt or clay or something.
Whatever it is, to make it seem like a lead bar, and they get him fucking plastered and like, yo, well, what is this? It's like, oh fuck, dude, it's gold over there. Go get it. Fuck yeah, I'm drunk. And then they have their wacky adventures, and he gets killed by a tank. Like that's all you gotta know, Josh.
Their wacky 2.5 hour long adventure. It is a very concerning amount of time.
Josh, too many negative waves, man. What have I told you about these negative waves?
I listen, Bill Spaceman Lee. I don't want to listen to your weird Red Sox nonsense. Okay, not on my good Yankees.
Can we go track down Donald Sutherland, write him a letter, and ask him to defend his character on whether or not it was genius or incoherent?
I guarantee you, Donald Sutherland's going to be like, "Man, I was hungry and they offered me food."
I
And we'd be
could
like,
totally
"Yeah,
see him
Donald
just being
Sutherland,
like,
you weren't
I
that
was
famous yet."
I could just totally see him just being like, I was fucking high as a kite that entire time. I don't even remember.
Apparently, Donald Sutherland got seriously ill during filming on location in Yugoslavia. His wife received a telegram telling her to come immediately, but warning her that he would probably be dead before she arrived.
Hmm. Did they say what it was?
I don't see anything, no. I see that it was filmed in Yugoslavia because the Yugoslavian army had a bunch of old Sherman tanks just sitting around.
Cool.
I guess they never cleaned up. Um, yeah.
Um, I need to admit something real quick while looking up some information on Donald Sutherland. I never watched MASH growing up. I had no idea he was Hawkeye.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Did not know that. I feel like I need to go
Um,
back and watch MASH now.
Also, a fact that I just didn't know is apparently during filming, Donald Sutherland, via co-star Clint Eastwood, learned that his then wife Shirley Douglas was arrested, actress Shirley Douglas, because she had tried to buy, using a personal check, hand grenades from an undercover FBI agent for the Black Panthers. Which is a wild
Wow.
sentence.
That was a roller coaster of a statement. I'll tell you that.
So
Jeez.
apparently, at some point, Clint Eastwood had heard that Shirley Douglas, who was married to Donald Sutherland, was arrested. Why, you might ask? Because she was trying to buy hand grenades with a check. It's like groceries.
Yeah, like buying hand grenades from the Black Panthers is already an outrageous statement. Using a personal check is just mind-bogglingly dumb.
But, Your Honor, I didn't do it. Ma'am, these checks are from your personal stationery. Is your name right fucking here at the bottom in
Did
your
he write on
handwriting?
the memo line a quote from Forrest Gump? "Thank you, Black Panther Party." Oh god, that was a disgusting Forrest Gump impersonation. I am ashamed for just doing that. I thought it would
Oh,
be so much better.
I'm so glad we have that
Oh,
forever.
no.
Yeah,
I am remorseful. I am sorry.
it's okay,
People
buddy.
of the world that don't live on Long Island no, that don't live in Long Island. I'm
Ooh,
so
that's
sorry.
disrespectful right there. Ooh, that's a whole new level of shade. Saying that they live in Long Island.
Yeah, it happens.
Um, I really, honestly, Corwin, I don't have anything productive to say left.
I shouted Uncle Leo out loud at my laptop when he showed up on screen.
I was flabbergasted.
Uncle Leo?
I was I wrote down, what is Uncle Leo doing in this?
I wrote down Uncle Leo, question mark, exclamation point, exclamation point.
Oh, hold on. I do have one other note here. Just because I was kind of dipping in and out of how much I was paying attention to this after like the
Totally
first
fine.
45 minutes. The gold was in a bank, right?
Uh-huh.
Did it belong to somebody, or was the bank occupied by was all the assets of the bank stolen by the Nazis?
Uh, as you could imagine, not expressly discussed by the intellectual characters of this movie. It was just a bank that was guarded by the German army. So, finders keepers, am I right?
And remind me of what country this movie takes place in?
France.
So they just stole from some French
Yeah.
civilians.
Well,
It's
I
it's
I
not
feel like that's very
it's
much
not
their
even
MO.
Nazi gold. They stole from French people. They are the worst people alive.
They like liberate that entire town too, that like the bank is located in, and everyone's like super happy and celebrating, and it's like they just robbed you.
Oh my god, they're the worst. They all got court-martialed after this and rotted in jail. Oh my god, it's so bad. They killed so many people just to steal from the people they liberated at the end. Oh my god, Corwin, this is such a bad movie.
I love this movie. I love this movie so much.
Oh my god. Oh my god. This is an incredible revelation. I have nothing else to say. Do you have anything to say?
Fantastic movie. Favorite Clint Eastwood movie?
Oh, shut the
No, I
fuck
can't
up.
say that. I
In
can't
the
even
week
say that.
after Ennio Morricone dies, you will not put that blasphemous talk on my radio show.
It definitely highlighted the fact that Clint Eastwood does one character, and that's all he's ever done in his entire life.
It's such a shame because this would have been such a great opportunity for him to be a goofball, even to like a mild extent, because of how much sillier everyone else around him was. If he had lightened up like a little bit, he still would have been like the grizzled dude, but could have shown some range. And instead, he decided to play this like just how he is.
I imagine the director went up to him and was like, Clint, like this is going to be a great time. We're going to shoot a great movie. Like, we're going to have so much fun doing this. Just, hey, go out there, let loose, have fun. Clint's just like, no. And just goes and does his cowboy staring at other people.
Yeah, which is part of the reason he's so effective in the Man with No Name trilogy, because the fact that he has no lines works very well into his whole steely gaze thing. But in this raucous romp, it doesn't quite land the same way. All right, Corbin, give me a rating and review. I can't talk about this anymore.
This is one of the most fun guilty pleasure movies where you can just turn your mind off and just enjoy a good time that you can have. I love it with a passion. I think it's a fantastic watch, and I give this a 4 out of 5.
You cannot possibly be serious.
I quite possibly am.
I hate you.
Nope, 4 out of 5. This movie's fantastic.
Fuck you.
I want to see what actual reviewers say about this movie.
While you're doing that, man, if this movie was like an hour shorter, I would be so much more on board with like the turn your mind off and don't care. But this is only 16 minutes shorter than Bridge on the River Kwai. Like, it's a very long movie. It's a very long, too long movie. I will give this a 1. I did not care for this adventure through Normandy or France or wherever they were to watch them kill many a people to make the Nazis the good guy. This is a very bad movie.
I love this movie. It's fantastic.
It is a 1-star movie.
What do you think this got on Metacritic?
Oh man. It's tough because like I feel like Metacritic always favors older movies, but at the same time, I really did not enjoy this, so I'll split the difference and say 65.
You are very much incorrect, sir.
What do you get?
A 50.
That is not good.
I really wish that Roger Ebert wrote a review of this movie because I would love to hear what he had to say, but he didn't, so we're shit out of luck.
Damn, Roger Ebert. Why didn't you do that for us? It could have been such an adventure.
With your time as valuable as it is, why didn't you spend 2.5 hours watching this?
You had so much to give, and you chose not to. How dare you, Mr. Ebert? Oh well. I suppose we'll survive.
Yep. What's your movie for next week, Josh?
Damn it, can you go first? I'm still looking.
No, because we got to play our little game, Josh. Guess a number 1 through 20 to determine what movie we will watch from my list.
All right, I'll pick number 14.
14. I should bring the. Ooh, I am excited. Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, I could use a rewatch of that. That was a good movie. Right on.
Movie. Hopefully, we both agree that it's a good movie.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Also, buckle up for that one. It is not short.
No. Oh, it's so long. It's so long.
I almost want to pick Blade Runner now so that we can talk about like the 1-2 punch that is those films, because I recently rewatched Blade Runner, having read the book, and my opinion on it is now vastly different.
I don't like that movie.
I don't either. I have like fond memories of it, and I discovered in my relatively recent rewatch that the only reason I had fond memories of it was because of the final monologue, the Tears in the Rain speech, which is a wonderful part of the film, and it sticks out so awkwardly because of how not great the rest of the movie is. But the book is phenomenal, and god damn it, I'm so sad that they didn't make that book into the movie. But yeah, all right, so
yeah.
2049 Blade Runner 2049. So I'm currently near the tail end of going through Hollywood Reporter's 100 greatest movies of all time, and I'm really fucking disappointed because I've seen all of them so far.
Really?
Oh my god, yeah. I have, and this is kind of soul crushing. I just got to the last one. I've seen all 100 of these movies. Fuck. God damn it. I kept telling myself, just the first one you haven't seen. Just pick the first one you haven't seen. It'll be so easy. You'll just watch it. And I saw all of them, and that's just not helpful to me.
Damn, Josh, that's rough.
I watch
it's
a lot
really
of
rough life you live.
Yeah, I watch. There's a lot of movies up in my noggin.
You want
There's
to
been
guess another number from my list?
I don't, because I want you to save those for the future. I kind of want to pick something Mel Brooks-ish for the Carl Reiner passing. I'm also staring here at
Ocean's
Mr.
11.
Smith Goes to Washington, and that's a great movie too. But I feel bad picking movies I've already seen too much, because like I've already seen them, and I'm gonna be biased as a result of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right. You know what? No, I'm gonna pick a rewatch, but I think that it's poignant, and I think it'll be a very rewarding rewatch. I'm going to pick The Great Dictator.
Ooh, okay.
The Charlie Chaplin film from 1940, one of his all-time classics. Since it is from 1940, it's made during the height of World War II. It is a direct political commentary against Adolf Hitler. And well, it's sad that it's gained a lot of relevance in the last we'll say 3.5 years or so. But here we are. And I think it's a movie I haven't seen in a while, and I am looking forward to this rewatch to gain some insights on it, living in the current climate that we are.
I have a comment about it, but I will wait until we are off the air.
Ooh.
It's just
How
a question about it that I don't want to spoil for the podcast, so it's not as exciting as you think.
Very fair. Very fair. All right. Anything else before we go?
Fuck Long Island?
Fuck Long Island. Fuck the Islanders. Fuck your entire existence.
John Tavares.
He hates you. He hates you. He never liked
as good
you.
as everyone thought he was gonna be.
Whatever, bro. He didn't win here. He's not going to win anywhere. No, you suck, Islanders. You won 4 straight chips and have been irrelevant since. You won 4 straight championships and are still the 3rd most popular franchise in the area. How?
Enjoy your 50-cent ticket prices, because none of you will even go when they're that low.
Please, if they left 50% fan capacity in the stadium, that'd be an increase.
Heyo.
Fuck
we
y'all,
just
shitty ass
lost our only-
team.
We just lost our only listener.
Mark Anthony? Oh, well. Anyway. All right, so Corwin's pick. Fuck, what was it?
Blade Runner 2049.
Blade Runner 2049. My pick, The Great Dictator from Charlie Chaplin 1940. You can follow the show on Twitter at JuicyPod. You can answer via email at juicythenumbers@gmail.com. And until Monday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.